Welcome to Aeon e-Learning. This is an educational video about Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct presented by the Aeon Corporation. In part 1, we have talked about what is corporate social responsibility. Now, in part 2, we will explain Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct to you, which is to fulfill the corporate social responsibility. Aeon is working on social issues in the supply chain based on the Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct. Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct is applied to all companies in the supply chain for products and services of Aeon. Currently, the Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct is available in 18 languages and can be downloaded from the Aeon homepage, which could be viewed by business partners, employees working there, and raw material producers. Please read before having business with Aeon. The latest version of Aeon Supplier Code of Conduct is revised in 2019. It currently consists of 13 sections such as employment, working environment, consideration for the environment, etc. And we ask Aeon suppliers to comply with all of them. Let's take a look at each section. Laws and regulations. Factories should comply with the laws, ordinances, and regulations of the countries and regions of manufacture and procure in all involved business activities. In case there is any difference in the interpretation of international ordinance and local government ordinance, please comply with the stricter one. To comply with these requirements, not only companies should have its own management, education and management are also necessary to be provided to suppliers, subcontractors, and contractors of the company to ensure that they are following all these requirements as well. In the Code of Conduct, requirements of codes and obeying the codes are established, as the requirement of laws and regulations respect to the principles of treaties and recommendations established by international organizations are requested. Child labor. In principle, International Labour Organization (ILO) sets the minimum age to work at 15 years old. Aeon has set the minimum employment age as the higher one of ILO standards or the local laws. Company is requested to follow this requirement, and it is prohibited to have transactions with organizations that violate this requirement. In addition, although the age of 18 is allowed to work as an adult, education shall be given priority where there are compulsory education laws, and they shall not be placed in a situation where they would be subjected to work with risk or danger to physical or mental health or development. Appropriate employment management must be carried out to prevent child labor. So, what is appropriate employment management that can prevent child labor? First, assign the person in charge of employment management. Then, check the laws and regulations of your country to find out the age of child labor. After that, construct the confirmation procedure during employment. Make sure that employees submit an official document to confirm their age and keep a record of when and who did the confirmation with what proof. The confirmation procedure should be reviewed regularly to check if there is any revision of laws or omissions in this procedure. This management procedure is also applicable to other sections. Forced labor. Forced labor does not only include physical restraint to work, but also the deprivation of employment and resignation freedom. If a company knows that any organization in the supply chain is suspected of involving in forced labor, the company should put effort into improving the situation of the organization. Continued training without working for improvement is prohibited. To prevent foreign employees from escaping, some companies may keep their passports. This action is also considered as a violation of human rights which degrades employees' behavior and their freedom to resign. In addition, it is prohibited to let employees to bear unreasonable employment expenses during hiring, especially if a company is hiring foreign employees through agencies. They should be aware to check whether the agencies are involved in any forced labor behavior. It is also considered as supporting those behaviors if confirmation is not done when using hiring agency. This should also be applied to raw material suppliers in supply chains. Working hours. Overtime working are not compulsory and are not required on a regular basis. In addition, overtime allowance must be paid for work that exceeds the legal normal working hours. It is also necessary to manage rest days and annual leaves. Unless required by law, 1 day off after 6 working days should be provided. The important thing about working hours is to construct a system that includes clear management standards, is shared to employees, and does not cause violations. If there is no overtime management and only aim at not exceeding the law limit as a result, this means violation of law could happen anytime. The problem of working hours is also related to the problem of productivity improvement, employees' health management, and wages. Concerted efforts to each management are required. Wages and benefits package. As a matter of course, employees should be paid for the actual work they have performed in accordance with the law. In particular, overtime work including overtime wages must be paid correctly. In recent years, there are many countries where the minimum wage stipulated by law does not reflect the prices of necessities that a family requires for living, such as commodity prices and educational expenses. Therefore, it is required to pay a living wage that exceeds the legal minimum wage to meet the basic needs. Abuse and harassment. Abuse and harassment do not only include violence, but also words and gestures. Harassment equals to any action that makes recipients feel uncomfortable, such as sexual harassment or power harassment. In addition, since abuse and harassment are very sensitive issues, it is desirable to establish a remedy system that guarantees the safety of the consulter, such as a consultation counter by a third party. It is important to be aware that continuous trading while knowing that the company involved in abuse or harassment is also considered as supporting those behaviors. Discrimination. It is unacceptable to make differences in wages or treatment due to race, nationality, ethnicity, gender, etc. Unfavorable actions or decisions made on people getting married and pregnant women due to marriage and pregnancy are unacceptable. Similar to abuse and harassment, it is necessary to take remedies such as a third-party consultation counter. In addition, companies should keep an attitude of not supporting discrimination in the supply chain. Freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining. Companies must inform employees that the company admits employees' rights to form, join, and manage a labor union, and bargain collectively. In countries where union formation is prohibited, companies should set up a grievance redressal system with sincere response that allows employees to raise concerns to the management and employee representatives. Companies shall not take any retaliation or disadvantageous actions against employees who form or join a union, or the users of the alternative, the grievance redressal system. Health and safety. Health and safety includes response and prevention of injuries, accidents, fires and disasters, and employees' health management. Management are required to protect their employees from various dangers and risks on-site. Regarding safety and health issues, we request the same management not only in the office but also in the subsidiary facilities such as canteens and dormitories. Dangers and risks at the site vary depending on companies, but regular review and correspondence should be conducted for where and what kind of risks there are. In addition, companies should also plan for those risks that have not happened or not been recognized yet. This is an example of measuring the risk level, severity of injury, frequency of approaching to dangers. Calculation is based on a comprehensive evaluation of the possibility of injury. After that, We will take countermeasures while listening to the voices of employees involved in the procedure, starting with the ones with the highest risk. There are various countermeasures, from physical measures to education. Environment. Sustainable means that the current method can be carried out continuously and the existing diversity can be maintained for the next and next generation. To maintain a sustainable society, besides complying with laws and regulations, we also ask for the consideration of not giving pressure on the environment as much as possible. Not only company itself, but also in the manufacturing process and the raw material stage of the materials used. Company must be aware not to pollute or destroy the environment and to reduce the pressure on the environment throughout the supply chain. In addition, regarding the environment, AEON has announced the AEON Sustainable Procurement Principle and AEON Biodiversity Policy. There are individual policies regarding the use of marine resources or wood resources as raw materials. For details, please check the annex to the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct. Business transactions. It is required to comply with the intellectual property rights and the related import and export laws, established in the country or region of origin and the importing country or region of the final products and their semi-final parts. Integrity and transparency. Trading is built up on mutual integrity. Integrity are required in company management operation, practice of contract content with business partners, and respondents to audits. When information is publicly required to be disclosed, appropriate disclosure would be requested. AEON has a zero-tolerance policy regarding violating the integrity and transparency mentioned in the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct, which includes bribery, forgery, falsification, concealment of records and physical evidence. Engagement. Engagement includes the expectation of mutual growth and contribution. Organizations on the supply chain have a relationship of mutual trust and aim to cooperate in solving various social issues. By strengthening engagement, each organization in the supply chain will request other organizations related to response. This is how engagement connects the supply chain with social responsibility. This is the explanation of the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct. AEON confirms whether Code of Conduct is fulfilled or not and provide improvement supports in the supply chain where products of AEON's private brand Top Value is manufactured. First, after explaining the contents and system of the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct to the AEON suppliers, management will be asked to make a commitment of complying with the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct. After that, audit will be conducted to the final processing factory to confirm if the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct has been incorporated into management. For overseas factories, the first audit is an external audit conducted by a third-party organization proved by AEON. From the second time onward, a second-party audit will be conducted by AEON Group certified auditors. Second-party audit will be conducted to the factories in Japan by AEON Group certified auditors from the first time. For both types of audit, we will propose recommended corrective action to each non-compliance and confirm the completion of improvements for non-compliance with critical risk. After confirming the contents of the AEON Supplier Code of Conduct were included and operated in the company's management system through a CoC audit, excellent factories will be arranged to first-party audit, which management will be asked to submit a self-check report. The final target of AEON's request to all suppliers is independent management. That involves implementing the requirement of AEON Supplier Code of Conduct into daily operation system and achieving improvement by making continuous effort. Regarding company-owned policy, by reviewing the current policy, verifying the deficiencies in the policy, and making continuous improvement, an assured and trustable working environment could be created. The manufacturing efficiency could then be increased as well. As a result, the company value would also be promoted. We hope that everyone in the same supply chain as Aeon could work together to increase the value of each other, make our customers and society happy. This is the end of part 2. Thank you for your attention. Part 1 explains why Aeon is making this effort and what corporate social responsibility is. Please watch part 1 as well.